I'm here to talk about what an obsession with always wanting something does to you and your emotional well-being. We have so much access to people's lives, information, what people are consuming and doing 24/7, which contrary to even 10 years ago isn't something we were so susceptible to. I don't think that you can absorb all of this information and all of this content without it consciously and subconsciously affecting you. And I'm speaking from personal experience. Maybe even in the last 2 or 3 years, I've felt really impacted by the amount of information I've been accustomed to seeing every single day from billions of people in the world. I'm really not here to tell you another take on why consumerism is bad for the environment. I'm not trying to make anyone feel guilty or responsible for the weight of the world and bad decisions that manufacturers and companies make. I think we live in a world where we're subjected to commerce and we have to buy things. There's opportunities to treat ourselves, reward ourselves. So no, today's conversation is not about how consumerism affects you financially, but how consumerism affects your self-worth and your sense of confidence. Lately, I've been really aware about how the cycle of wanting, needing, searching, browsing, window shopping, looking takes up so much of our lives, not only in the actual process of doing these things, but the emotional taxation that follows after. Like I said, our self-worth is affected, our attention span, our sense of peace, our contentment, our joy, the list goes on and on. And this isn't new, especially in a Western world. We often think about the next thing that we're gonna do, our next step, the future, what's coming up. And every time we achieve something or get it, it satiates it for a small moment. But then we're left with that gap again and trying to look for the next thing that's going to fulfill our desire. And this is important to me because there's this false sense of security and fulfillment that comes in some of these things that are intended for good. But at the end of the day, your sense of fulfillment, your sense of achieving something, your sense of success, it can't come from a thing. It has to come from who you're becoming. And if you're letting your self-confidence, your sense of peace all be affected on a daily basis and we're not being mindful of how that's being taken care of, inherently we're not taking care of who we're becoming. We're not paying special attention to that aspect that really is the currency of how we measure our success as a person. I'm 24 years old, and I think reflecting on the last maybe 4 or 5 years of my life, I feel like I've changed every single year. I feel like that's not unique. I'm in my post-grad season of life, and just talking to a lot of my friends and my peers, there is so much pressure around this stage of your life, especially if you've graduated this year or last year. Whatever it is, there is this looming cloud of anxiousness, and I would describe it as this feeling of always chasing after myself. I feel like I'm always 10 steps behind me, which doesn't make sense, but it does. And sometimes I feel guilty, and it almost makes me feel scared because it makes me wonder, okay, what will be enough? What is going to feel like enough? Like I feel like I want all of these things and I'm not getting them. I'm feeling stressed and overwhelmed because I don't have the things that I want. I feel like the stakes of our age group have gotten so much higher. There's like that joke that everyone's going to Tokyo or running a marathon, getting a master's, getting engaged, buying a house, buying a car, all these different things. It's just getting higher and higher. And I feel like there's always a new Forbes article every single day about some like 24-year-old billionaire. There was a girl who literally passed the bar exam at age 14. And it's exhausting, especially when this isn't just information we come across like every now and then. This is information that's being impounded into our mind on a daily, hourly, minute by minute basis. And that's kind of crazy if you think about it. I want this new laptop. I want to do this new hobby. I want to travel to this new location. I want a new phone. I want this type of bedding. Like I want these clothes. I want this aesthetic. It makes me wonder like, okay, when I have those things, then what? Because there was a point in time where a lot of the things I had now I once wanted, and clearly that wasn't a sustainable form of joy because here I am every single day, every single year still wanting something. And what really did it for me specifically was yesterday I was thinking about how in our 20s, we're always thinking about the next step, planning our future, articulating every move very intentionally, worrying about how we're going to lay the foundation of this next chapter of our lives and like essentially our future. And then if you talk to a mom or a dad or anyone who's like over the age of 40 or 50, they're telling you to soak in this stage of your life. Make the most of the stage of your life. It's never going to come back. I wish I could do my 20s again. I wish I enjoyed it. I wish I was more present. I wish I had slowed down on this. I wish that I didn't make this as much of a priority. Whatever it may be, I can guarantee that you've heard a rhetoric similar to that. And then it made me question, like, okay, if the 20-year-olds are longing for this structure and stability that 40 and 50-year-olds have, but if 40 and 50-year-olds are longing for the time and energy that 20-year-olds have, am I going to spend every stage of my life always wanting something from the future or always wanting something from the past and not coherently being present in the age and season that I'm in right now? And then it made me wonder, where does this come from? Where does this lack of satisfaction and desire for more, or this grass is always greener mentality originating from? And it sounds like a reach, and not to make it that deep, but I really do believe that it begins with consumerism. There are so many things to want and to buy and to need every day. And if we're already not stewarding this small act of discipline and contentment in a material item, it's not going to manifest well for us in a deeper emotional sense as well. And I'm really grateful to kind of allow these thoughts to dawn on me at this age, because I wish I had a sense of this, like even when I started college. I felt like I started college so insecure, which, like, granted, you're 18 years old, like, you're like barely a shell of a person. Spent so many of like these early adulthood years longing for something, feeling like I wasn't enough, feeling like I was lame. And I think that really came from a sense of not having something. I can think back to even when I was a kid, shopping and wanting clothes that other people have, and just like not feeling good about myself because my material items didn't reflect the life I envisioned for myself. And while that seems obvious, I feel like that's a common notion that a lot of people still have today, even as adults, that we envision this version of ourselves, this full potential version of ourselves, and when our environment doesn't reflect that, we can't stop ideating and thinking about how we can get ourselves from here to the next step. And I think that's good in terms of goals and setting the bar high for yourself. But to live in chains to this lack of contentment, life is too short for that. And a lot of us walk around not really knowing what we're doing, what our purpose is. And I think a lot of people imitate sense of fulfillment off of each other. We look to the definition of success and security based off of what we see in somebody else. If someone else has achieved a 6-figure salary, they've gotten their master's, they've traveled to like 50 different countries. If someone has done those things and we haven't, that's how we know what it means to like have achieved something, is because we're seeing someone else's metric of success and growth and reflecting on ourselves and seeing the gap that exists in our own life. And I think because we only get to see small percentages of everybody's life and all of these surface level things that seem to equal success, it really allows for just a shallow sense of depth. It's kind of like when you have a conversation with somebody and you only talk about what's happening, you only talk about pop culture, you only talk about, I don't know, like irrelevant little momentary things, but you leave that conversation not actually knowing anything about that specific person you're sitting with. It's like essentially a conversation that you could have had with anybody. It didn't need to be like that person specifically. That's the same vibe I feel when we measure our success and our growth in exterior items that exist outside of who we are on the inside. Using money to measure growth, using items to measure growth, using the quality of items that you have, a house, a car, all these like, I don't want to say superficial things because I'm not trying to like shame anybody. Things that really are not a measure of personal growth, we let interfere with how successful we are. We use these things that are inanimate fleeting, deteriorating, things that can break down, things that can be lost. We use those to measure whether or not we are actually becoming the person we need to become, which sounds obvious when you say it out loud, but from a day-to-day is not the perspective that most people carry with them. At the end of the day, growth is not reflected in a purchase. It's reflected in your character, in your habits, in your personal development, and not even from a sense of self-help to achieve the next thing, but just becoming the person that you're meant to be. Comparing yourself and putting yourself in a spot of scarcity rather than abundance is emotionally taxing. And it doesn't get you anything you want in the end. Like, I can sit here and compare myself to somebody who has like a 6-figure job at 24 and has traveled the world and has their master's. And I can look at that person and think that they are a better person or they have more, and put myself in a position of inferiority for literally no reason when I have so many achievements as Amanda, as the individual that I am, that exist outside of like the brands that I own, how many like makeup products I have, even like the clothes that I wear, my self-expression and who I am as an individual is from my ability to love, my ability to serve my community, my ability to think of others, my thoughtfulness, my spontaneity. These are all like treasurable characteristics and items that I want to use to define myself. Not whether or not I've moved out or I have this specific title at work. Like, those are not things that humans are meant for. Obviously, that's the way the world works and what we need to like survive and sustain. But when did all of these things become definitive of who we are instead of a means to an end? Therefore, I feel like the real cost of consumerism is your time, your ability to be present, your sense of identity, your joy, your ability to form true, genuine relationships that aren't built on envy, jealousy, comparison, using people, and your sense of fulfillment, satisfaction. And yesterday I had this sense of peace that I have to reiterate to myself. Like, this is not something natural to me. This is something I've been trying to practice the entire year. It's all gonna work out. Those are 100% gonna look different than you imagine. But you can trust that you are going to be exactly the person that you have been designed to be. Obviously, it takes a little bit of work. You can't just like do nothing and expect that. But if you're trying your best, if you're being open to opportunity, if you're being kind, if you're flexible, you want to be present and enjoy things, most of the time when you talk to these people who are 40 and 50, their life ends up being okay. They live a stable life. They have the family. They have the house. Like, all of these things will come. Yes, it takes a little bit of financial planning and structure. I'm not saying like throw that out the window, but you know things. Like, you are smart. You have tools already that are going to get you to where you need to be. You have experience in whatever it is you may have. You know stuff, and you are important. You have something to contribute. The proof is the things that have already happened in your life, and you might have to squint a little bit for this one. Okay, that leads me to my next point. I wanted to quickly interject to remind you of the Mindful Spending Toolkit template that I've made. It's in the link down below. This template is for the girls who want to become more disciplined in their shopping habits and take control of some of these negative ways of thinking or poor decisions when it comes to shopping and spending your money. It's not necessarily a budgeting template, but more of a workspace where you can see who you are, see what your shopping needs and patterns are, your goals. It's a very lighthearted, customizable template, but my goal with this is to empower you. I always want to feel like the things that I buy and I add to my life are enhancing and helping me just like be a better person, not something that I feel regretful or remorseful of. So if you want to check out that template, it's linked down below in my description, and let's continue this video. These are the principles that I've been learning and telling myself that have really allowed me to talk myself down from being in a disposition of wanting things. Again, it's not bad to want something. It's not bad to have a wish list or enjoy buying things or rewarding yourself, but creating an identity that idolizes what's next, creating an identity that is solely based off of these arbitrary things is going to be exhausting. And you might not feel it now. It might be working for you now. It might have been the reason why you've gotten to where you are, but it's not going to be sustainable. This is not what's going to take you to the end of your life. It's not what's going to make you into the person that you truly are meant to be. So number one, you have to accept your limitations. Once you accept the limitations in your life, I honestly feel like it becomes so much more alleviating to focus on other aspects of your life. Example of a limitation: a financial limitation, an education limitation, living at home can be like a limitation, not knowing how to drive, whatever it may be. Think of a list of things that you are not able to do. Name the limitation, know the limitation, and realize everybody has a limitation. Even your favorite celebrity, even your best, coolest friend, they have a limitation. We're all human. We only have a very small capacity and bandwidth for certain things. And once you accept your limitations, it's so much more humbling, less overwhelming when you know and you recognize there are things I cannot do. There are things that I will not be able to have right now. There are opportunities that are going to have to wait because of X, Y, and Z. You need to stop trying to control everything. And that's a buzz phrase, but I saw this on TikTok the other day, LOL. You need to stop trying to control everything, because when you do, it limits the outcome to the extent of your imagination. And while you might feel like your imagination is ginormous and huge and perfect and all thought out, there is so much more that can happen when you let go, you release the control, and you leave it up to an even more beautiful outcome. Again, we have limitations. You yourself can only think of certain things that can happen. There are certain things that you can't do. So when you try to control a situation based off of what you know and what you try to ordain, you're cutting yourself off and stunting the opportunity for something else even more amazing to happen that you could have not designed. Number 3, I said this before, everybody is the same. Everybody is the same because we all think that the grass is greener on the other side. We're different, unique, we come from different places and we have different experiences. But at the end of the day, humans have very intrinsic patterns and tendencies. That's why we can be studied. That's why we have medicines. Like, this all comes from very specific ways that we are all very similar. The next time you're envying something or you're wanting something, literally everybody feels this way, which I think provides me more comfort, like knowing we all feel this sense of insecurity, knowing that we all feel inadequate sometimes. I'm like, okay, I'm literally not the only, like, there's not something wrong with me. There's not something more that I need to do. There's not something more that I need to have to become this perfect person, because none of us are a perfect person. We all have inadequacies. We all have things that we're not good at and that we don't like about ourselves. So once you just like get that out of the way and accept that that's like the reality, it's a lot less isolating. I also saw another video. It said, you currently have something that somebody else is dreaming of. You already possess something that is on someone else's bucket list. It's on someone else's 2026 goals. It's on someone else's vision board. Dream body, perfect family, house, location, education, friend group, wardrobe, eyes, hair, like whatever it is, you have something that somebody else already wants. I just feel like it really helps me shift my perspective when I realize, like, I need to be grateful. Like, I have things that I'm taking for granted that somebody else would love to have. Instant gratification is fleeting. That sense of fulfillment and contentment has to come from within. We've all experienced this. Like, when you buy something, it's exciting for literally one day. It's exciting for literally one day, and then you move on. Think about when you got your first car. Think about when you got into the school of your dreams. Think about when you found that like amazing piece at the thrift store. The excitement and the joy from obtaining those things, it was a very short window, and then you have to find something else that gets you to that like same level of excitement, and that's not something you can like argue with me on. Like, that's just like basic dopamine threshold. So I think you truly have to ask yourself what cultivates long-lasting joy. And again, that's different for everyone. I think we all have different backgrounds and perspectives on our purpose, what we're meant to do in this life. But I think that's an important journal prompt or question, is to ask yourself, where does my sense of contentment really come from? It doesn't have to be that deep. You know, you can think about your role in your family, your need to be a good neighbor, if you have a faith, friendship, making people feel seen. Maybe you're passionate about like fundraising or specific like charitable effort, whatever it may be. Next, don't spend your present thinking about your future, because then you're going to spend your future thinking about your past. And I touched on this earlier, and I actually want to bring up this video that I saw. This girl in the video said, "I just graduated college and have never felt more lost in my life. I don't think I know what I really want to do. I wasted 5 months looking for a job which I wasn't even excited about. I don't have a ton of experience, and I feel like I'm not good enough at anything at all." It made me so sad to see that. One, because I think all of us can relate to that feeling, and two, how common that is. We compare ourselves so much, and we are so afraid of a lack of stability and structure and this future notion of being happy that it robs us of happiness in our current moment. For example, if I'm always thinking about whether or not I'm going to have this beautiful life that I've always dreamed of, and I'm afraid of whether or not I'll have everything I want one day, that means today I'm not even being present and allowing myself to be happy in the current moments right in front of my face. I am missing out on happy, fulfilling moments right now because all I can do is anticipate my lack of happiness in the future. And then it's ironic because I'm not having happiness right now. If I could say one word to this girl, it would be, and this is not toxic positivity. I'm not trying to invalidate anybody because I resonate with this, but I think your thoughts are so powerful because they affect your feelings, and your feelings affect your actions, and your actions affect your results. So you have to talk to yourself like this and change your perspective because it does all begin in your mind. It begins with your thoughts. So I would tell her, okay, you graduated college. That is a huge accomplishment. Two, I don't think you can be lost in life because I genuinely feel like waking up is an achievement in and of itself. The point of life is to be alive. And then you die. Not to be crude or anything like that, but everything is temporary. Everything will end. So we cannot spend this short amount of time we have like feeling lost in what we're meant to do. Being alive, having a body that works, like that is already an achievement. That's already successful because like that's what life is. Life is simply being alive. That's what a life is. It's gonna go away. This feeling, the sense of like loss and identity, I still feel that every day from time and time again. But then I'm like, you know what? Like, I didn't even like need to be born. Like, I didn't even decide to be alive. So the fact that I get to be, and I have this opportunity to breathe and experience and see, have an education, meet people, have different experiences, anything is an achievement. It just starts feeling like less and less and less when we look at somebody else and they have more than what we have. But we already have more than we ever should have had because life is not even guaranteed every single day. Being born was not guaranteed. So the fact that you already have that, you're already exceeding the capacity and threshold that you should have even had. I also don't believe in like wasting time because a lot of people only measure a successful use of time when it produces an exterior outcome, like money, like an opportunity, like an asset. When you have to measure success in ways that are not exterior. What did you learn through those 5 months of job hunting? You probably learned a lot of resilience. You probably learned how to articulate yourself. You probably learned how to pick yourself back up and sit on the computer and do it all over again. How to manage insecurity. You probably learned opportunities that you could be a little stronger in. You probably learned about roles and companies that you didn't even know existed. And while this doesn't give you any outcome that you can show people, it doesn't matter because it's refining an aspect of your character. And again, that's the point of life, is to refine these aspects of your character and become a better person, become a more knowledgeable person, become a person that gets to experience different things. And that's subjective for each person. I don't have a ton of experience and I feel like I'm not good enough at anything at all. Newsflash, there will always be somebody that has more experience than you, which also means that you have more experience than somebody else. And you're not good at anything. Everything takes effort. You will not have everything you want in one day. That's not how life works. And I frankly don't think that you want that to be how life works because the characteristics and opportunities and the ways that you refine yourself along the way are so valuable. And without some of these more difficult moments, and even a moment like this that she's detailing on, which I can relate to, I wouldn't have had the gem of a character trait that I have now. And that's not to toot my own horn because we're all capable of this. We are all capable of becoming somebody without it having to reflect in a way that we compare ourselves to other people, or like an exterior form of currency. As if you resonate with anything that I said, ask yourself, what are you looking for? And how can you cultivate that feeling with what you already have right now? Because you have a lot, you have enough, you are enough, and you don't need something that somebody else has to become the version of you that you're already meant to be. You want new clothes because you hate your wardrobe, you hate your style. I say this with a grain of salt, mind you, every scenario is different, but just for an example. What you're looking for is a rebrand, a refresh, a sense of newness, inspiration, confidence. Those are the things you're looking for in replacing your whole wardrobe. So replacing your wardrobe is one way to do that, but there are other ways to get to these same things. The same way, there's multiple ways to get to the Walmart in your neighborhood. You may take the same road every single day, but you can take a different road and you'll still end up at the same destination. So for example, with this clothing example, you could do a clothes swap with your friends. You could upcycle the piece that you already have. You can look for new ways to style the items already in your wardrobe. You can even ask your friends to come in your closet and look at your clothes and style you with their perspective. There are other ways that you can get the same outcome without it being this one way of fixing things. And I feel like if you take that same principle and you can apply it to other areas of your life, it's really a gem of a characteristic. And then you realize you actually don't need that thing that you're idolizing. There's other ways that you can get to that thing that are healthier and not putting specific things or concepts like on a pedestal. If you made it all the way through the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this more chill podcasty format. I honestly just wanted to yap with the holiday seasons coming up and the end of the year and maybe like New Year's goals. This has just been something that's been on my mind throughout honestly this whole year, and I feel really grateful for the opportunity to chat about it and self-reflect. If you do like these style of videos and you like me and my content, feel free to subscribe and leave a comment down below letting me know what you think. Thank you so much again for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.